What if I told you one of the best films and one of Kodak's best films wasn't available to purchase from them at all? And better yet, you had to find someone who's willing to purchase a bulk roll of this film and respool it into 35mm canisters, making it available for us to shoot. Well, with the world of convoluted confusion when it comes to film photography, this, as of now, seems to be the case. That is until Kodak hopefully begins to offer it themselves. Now, the film we're talking about is Kodak Vision 3. I'm sure many of you are well versed with this film, as I've chatted about it quite extensively in the past, but film photography is confusing, so let me quick explain it. Vision 3 is a professional motion picture film from Kodak, which means it only comes in bulk rolls to shoot films, documentaries, and full feature films on. However, film labs and individuals have been able to get their grimy mitts on some and respool into 35mm cartridges, allowing this incredible film to be much more attainable. The film comes in a variety of different speeds and color tones: 50D, 250D, 200T, and 500T. The D standing for daylight balance, while the T standing for tungsten balance. These are ironically the same speed film as what CineStill sells, well, because it's the same film. See, Kodak has an agreement with CineStill to sell their bulk rolls under the guise that CineStill is truly a unique emulsion and ultimately a more coveted stock than something as simple as just Vision 3, which ultimately generates more sales for both companies. Now, one thing I will say, I gotta give CineStill some credit, as originally they did have a bit of a better shtick going on. CineStill originally was removing the RemJet layer from their film, a process that Kodak owns on their end now, which especially at the time was a bit of a tricky one. So, like I said, I will give them credit. Now, just so we're on the same page here, RemJet is an anti-static and anti-halation layer. CineStill, by removing this, allows a noticeable amount of halation, a glowing look that can be seen in the highlights. RemJet itself, though, can be quite problematic for us as film photographers or for film labs themselves. Again, it's a layer added to the film that comes off during the development, and the black sludge can do serious damage to film processing machines, taking them out of commission for days at a time while needing extensive cleaning and sometimes repairs. Well, Kodak and CineStill, I'm assuming, were getting a little bit tired of different respooled versions of Vision 3 popping up all over the world, so they came out with a pretty damning statement, which at this point seems like a little bit of smoke and mirrors, to be honest, because, well, you'll see here in a second, actions speak louder than words. And the statement basically read that they're only going to be selling their Vision 3 to dedicated filmmakers who can prove they have a project they're working on instead of just respooling and reselling their film. Well, that caused a bit of a panic for many of these film respoolers, and to a certain extent, rightfully so. But thankfully, shortly after that, Kodak released another statement how they're going to be removing the RemJet, as it was no longer really necessary for both film photography, but also, more importantly, for motion picture shooting. In fact, it seemed like initially that this change to the film in film photography was just a byproduct of the motion picture film changing. Now, instead of this RemJet, this new film would have a new remjet-free technology called AHU, or Anti Halation Undercoat. Basically a different layer within the film that doesn't leave a waste product behind. Now, yes, it is anti-halation, so while yes, it does still have a tiny bit of it, compared to CineStill's film or the original RemJet Vision 3, it will have significantly less. I don't know, doesn't bother me. I think halation is super cool, especially when shot in the right circumstances, but for me, I would prefer just like the baseline Vision 3 be accessible and easy to shoot and not have to pay more or give it to a lab who can, develop RemJet film. And it seems like we're still getting the film that we can lean into the halation from CineStill, so seems like a win-win to me. Now, since the inception of this film, something I've been curious about is how similar will this film look in comparison to the original Vision 3, from colors to halation to exposure, etc., etc. Which we'll see here momentarily, I guess. As of now, the easiest place I've found to snag this is Reflex, as they have 35mm canisters ready to go, available for purchase right now. I was sent some film from 35mm dealer to test out and compare to see how it truly stacks up against the original Vision 3, which is one of my favorite films to date. I didn't exactly get the opportunity to take a one-for-one comparison, as I was using my T2 and my Nikon FM, which felt like kind of strange cameras to be doing the comparison on. So there's not a direct comparison, but I think you guys will see through the photos, you'll get a gist of how the new Vision looks compared to the old one. Which, speaking of, I shot the first roll at a work event and then headed up to Rocky Mountain National Park. And then the second roll I shot just kind of periodically throughout the week following. So without further ado, let's jump into that and we'll chat afterwards. Let's go. Alright, I'm back home now. I got both the rolls of film back. I've had a little bit of time to sit and check them out. And honestly, I'd be willing to bet that it's almost indistinguishable to tell the difference between the two. Now, yes, the RemJet film definitely leans into the halation, which is certainly good to know. I know for many of us that halation is a big part of the puzzle when it comes to shooting this film, and knowing the AHU is significantly more muted is great to know. I know I always compare this film to a budget Portra, especially on 35mm. So seeing it retain those properties has been super encouraging. It also seems to have quite a good dynamic range flexibility, which old Vision 3 was great with again, so awesome to see it carry over here as well. I do wish I would have shot some actual color cards between the two, but maybe let me know if you want to see that and I can do a video in the future where I'm actually comparing them with similar Nikons. Ultimately, this new AHU film looks awesome and up to snuff with the Vision 3 that we've seen up until now. I would love to see this as an actual film stock from Kodak. I think people would really eat it up. Having it be an accessible stock straight from Kodak would reel in a ton of people. Many with the impression that this is a new film emulsion, which technically speaking, for still photography, it is a new emulsion. Think of the marketing they could run with that. Ooh-wee. Especially they could bring out 4 new film stocks at a time. Well, I don't really know how that would affect CineStill, or like if they would be allowed to, or if it makes financial sense. But can you imagine 4 new film stocks to people who don't really like, you know, aren't in the know? 4 new film stocks would be unbelievable. I know many of my friends who, like, again, just don't really understand the full spectrum of film would be chomping at the bit to buy some truly new film from Kodak, just like they've been with the Kodacolor stuff. So I don't know, Kodak, if you're looking for a head of marketing, call your boy. At the very least, I think seeing some of this 250D and 500T in 35mm and 120 from Kodak Eastman would be, I think, such a good move. I think they already have the film stock. It's literally just sitting there. As long as it doesn't like void some weird contract or have them get sued by CineStill, why not give it a try? I feel like new boxes is like such a key to get people into the door. If it's a new box design that's super cool, leans into the vintage design, etc., people are just going to want to buy it because it looks cool and looks vintage, looks like old film boxes that they saw when they were a kid or their parents had, etc. Otherwise, enough of my rambling here. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this new Vision 3. Let me know if you've shot any of it, if you're interested in picking any up. Like I said, definitely check it out from 35mm dealer or reflex. And yeah, till the next one, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay shooting. Adios.